We'll begin the Ways and Means Committee meeting for Monday, February 22nd. So I think everyone is present except Eden. So we have Jennifer via phone, and the rest of the committee is here in person. So thank you for being here in person today. The first item we have is the approval of the minutes for the January 25th, 2021 meeting. So I need a motion for that. Junior, and a second with Rachel. Okay, any comments, changes, corrections for those minutes?
Steve, this is Jennifer. Could I just ask you to speak up a bit?
Okay. Wonder how the best kind of...
We'll just turn the microphone volume.
All right, we'll see if we can make some adjustments, Jennifer. Trying to figure out which way to go. Does that help at all? Maybe?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, all right. So any changes, corrections on the minutes? All right, hearing none, how we will process this today is for the folks in the room, we'll do a voice vote. And for the folks online right now, Jennifer
Eden Blair.
Joined. Eden, who's joining us, we'll have them roll call vote. So for the folks in the room, those who approve with the sign of aye. Okay, we're unanimous in the room. So, Jennifer, what's your vote for the minutes?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Eden Blair, we're doing the approval of the minutes with no changes or corrections. What's your vote?
Aye.
All right, thank you. So that did pass unanimous. We will move into the informational items. The first one is the county clerk's report, and Ms. Parker's here. She did give us a report this time. I'll ask her if she has any additional comments she'd like to share.
No additional comments, unless anyone has any questions.
Okay, no comments. Like I said, the report and the data is there in your packet. Any questions from the committee members? All right. Hearing none, we will proceed on. Thank you, Rachel, for that. The next one is the County Elections Commission. I don't know if Mr. Bright is called in. Okay, so Tom is on the phone. He's preparing for our election tomorrow, so he agreed that he would call in today and join us via phone. So, Mr. Bright, would you like to go ahead and share an update?
Sure. As you said, we've got a primary for the city of Peoria and Peoria Township tomorrow. Early voting is going on through today, and then tomorrow everyone will need to vote at their polling place. So far in the election, we've had over 4,000 people vote. We expect a much larger turnout than the last couple of primaries at the same period of time. So I don't know dramatically up, but it is up significantly both on vote by mail and early voting for this election as compared to 2019 and 2017. We're also preparing for the April 6th election. Vote by mail ballots for people who live outside of the city of Peoria will start to go out on Thursday, and then early voting starts for everybody in the county March 12th, and that's also the day that the vote by mail ballots for those who took part in the primary will go out. We're basically setting up today and getting prepped for tomorrow's election, which is keeping us plenty busy. That's all I really have for a report.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bright. Any questions from the committee members?
This is Eden. I have one question.
Okay, you're up.
For the primary, vote by mail, is that due today, or can people turn in those ballots to you tomorrow? Or is that due?
They either have to be turned in or postmarked by tomorrow for them to count by 7 o'clock tomorrow. And the drop box, there wasn't any enabling legislation to allow us to continue to use the drop box. We expect to get that in future elections, but we can't use that now. So the ballot either has to be dropped off tomorrow by 7, and if you bring somebody else's, they need to authorize it on the actual purple envelope, the return envelope, or it's postmarked by tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Other questions? Mr. Fennel has one.
Hey, Tom, I wonder if you could send to the county or to the board a list of the early voting places and when they will be for the March,
Or for the,
for the
Sure.
April vote?
It's actually up on our website, but I can send you a list of the early voting sites for,
Oh, okay,
for
I
the
could,
April election.
okay, thank you very much.
yeah, we can do the website, Tom. I think we can just go to the Peoria County Elections website, and that should be there. But great ask. Other questions for Mr. Bride? Okay, well, thank you, Tom, and thank you for making sure everyone has a chance to vote. So, and again, I would ask anyone who lives in the city of Peoria who is out there, please exercise your right to vote for the election tomorrow. With that, we will move into the next category, which is Supervisor of Assessments and Board of Review, Mr. Dave Ryan. The floor is yours, sir.
All right, thanks, Steve. We have actually finished 2020. The board review is now done, so our final abstract has been sent to the Department of Revenue. They'll review it. Hopefully, they'll get back to us in a couple of weeks, and then we'll pass that off on to the county clerk, and then it goes to the treasurer, hence the tax cycle. So we are on time. We're similar to what we did last year, so that kudos to our staff with the COVID and the furloughs and stuff, that we were still able to get the information down to the Department of Revenue on time. Just a synopsis of what we had. We had about 777 border review complaints, which really is not that many. And I think about 36% of them got changed. So about 36% got a reduction, and the other ones stayed the same. So that's not too bad. That's about typical. Typical, the border review lowers around 40%, and that's pretty typical throughout the state regarding that. We processed over 14,000 homestead exemptions, and those totaled over $400 million. So individuals receiving either owner-occupied exemptions, senior exemptions, disabled veterans exemptions. We do that on a yearly basis. So we had over 14,000 of those, and as I said, over $400 million was taken off due to those exemptions. So we're looking at, different ways to do it going forward. I know I've kept mentioning hopeful legislation. There has been some that was proposed, but I don't know if that is exactly what was proposed last year. It looks like it's a little different, so I don't know how that will go forward. But we are going to wait a little bit longer still to send our senior freeze renewal forms out. We usually send about 13,000 of those out. We usually send them out in January or February. We're going to wait probably, I'm looking until at least April on that. Obviously, the number one concern is the safety of all our residents. We would like for legislation to be passed that they don't have to refile if they've qualified before, similar to last year. If that doesn't happen, the hope is that a lot of these seniors will have been vaccinated maybe by the time they have to come in, because still some of them, even though we are now offering a brief option on the computer to send information in, a lot of individuals don't have computer access or don't want to deal with it. We've talked to them on the phone before, so they still want to come in and have assistance in helping them with filing those senior freeze forms. So we're just going to wait a little bit longer. Hopefully legislation is passed. If not, hopefully we get a majority of the seniors that are vaccinated, and by April maybe it'll be a little safer for them to come in. Any questions?
Okay, any questions from any of the committee members on Mr. Ryan's report? And Jennifer and Eden, hopefully you're able to hear this well enough. Any questions from your side?
I do not.
Okay, thank you.
This is Jennifer. I do not.
All right, thanks, Jennifer. All right, well, thank you, Dave, for the update.
Thank you.
All right, we will move now to the treasurer and Ms. Bjorky and have an update on what's going on in the treasurer's office.
Good afternoon. We are still working on closing out the last year's tax cycle and balancing everything and getting ready for the external auditors to come in. We're going to be issuing mobile home bills March 1st. So we usually have about 1,100 of those that go out. So we're updating our records, and we'll be printing those March 1st and sending them out. They have 60 days to pay without any penalty. And at one of the last meetings that we had, especially since we have new board members, I was asked to do a little bit of a kind of high-level presentation on our trustee program that we have. And annually, our office conducts a tax sale in November, and all parcels that are unpaid at that time go to this tax sale. And that's all that's being sold at that point are the taxes. We usually have about anywhere 20 to 25 tax buyers that come in from all around the states. They can be out of state, they can be local, they can be from Chicago. And they bid on these parcels. And it's 18% on down, and it's the lowest bid that wins, so it's a bid down auction. One of these tax buyers is the Peoria County trustee, and it's Peoria County as a whole. It's not Peoria County the entity, not the government. It's Peoria County as a whole. So this trustee acts as a trustee on behalf of all the taxing districts in Peoria County. And so I know that sometimes there's misunderstanding regarding the term Peoria County trustee, because a lot of people think that it's our trustee, and it's not. It's all the districts. And there's about 150 taxing districts in Peoria County. So it's your schools, your fire districts, your municipalities, etc. The trustee acts just like a tax buyer, except he doesn't pay these taxes because he's the trustee. So he operates just as a tax buyer would. He sends delinquent notices, he sends certified notices, he'll even go to court and obtain a tax deed after 2.5 to 3 years of sending notices to all the parties that have an interest in the property. So owners, mortgage companies, banks, anybody who might have an interest. If nobody responds and nobody redeems, then he takes over this property through a court ruling, and he is the owner of this property on behalf of all the taxing districts. So that provides protection for all the taxing districts. We, as the county, maintain the contract with them instead of having an individual contract with 150 different taxing districts. So once he becomes the owner of this property, he will hold an annual surplus auction sale. And that is what occurred this last year in August. He's probably getting ready to do another one, probably August, September. They've not given me a date yet. And at this auction, it used to be an in-person auction over at the Mark Twain, the plaza, Packard Plaza, and it was a regular auction, so you bid up. And whoever was the highest bidder got the property. And his goal is to get these parcels back on the tax roll. It's not to keep them forever, but it's to get them back on the tax roll. So he actually sends postcards and stuff to adjoining neighbors to try and get them to purchase some of these properties, because some of these properties are just little slivers of land that have been created out of GIS. They're not buildable, some are a triangle, some actually have a building on them or an improvement on them, but most do not. And so there used to be, I don't know, 100 or so people that would come to these auctions. This last year we did a sealed bid auction, and what that meant was 30 days prior to the auction, people could purchase the book that lists all the properties, fill out the form, and include it with the amount that they were willing to purchase the property for. Not the minimum bid. I mean, if they wanted to do the minimum bid, then they were taking their chance that somebody might bid more than them. They brought the sealed bids to us, we stored them, and then on the final day at 5 o'clock, we sent them to the trustee, and they opened them because it's their sale, not the treasurer's sale. So there was an issue with the city of Peoria regarding some of these properties, because some of the owners or the successful bidders, they flip properties. And so there was concern regarding out-of-state with properties that were being demoed, and the city was worried that once these property owners took over, that it would start the cycle all over again regarding, it takes a year to get delinquent, but it takes 3.5 years or 2.5 to 3 years to get in the trustees' hands again. And in the meantime, they were concerned that no taxes were being paid. So I've reached out to the city of Peoria, to Patrick Urick. We're supposed to do lunch And I gave him a proposal of what I have intended to do, which is as soon as I know the auction date, I will contact him and let him know. As soon as I am able to secure a copy of the book or the list of these properties, I will share that with him and whoever he designates as his person to get that list. And 90 days out, I will check and see if he has any objection to any of these properties going to the auction. 60 days out, I will do the same thing. 30 days out, I will do the same thing again. And then a week before the sale, I will contact him and see if there's any properties that he wants me to take off, provided that there's a legitimate reason to take them off. If they're in the middle of a demo lien or something like that, then we will do that. And so he has responded finally and said that that's a good start, and that he wants to get together and to discuss the whole program again and also discuss a land bank. Any changes to the trustee program would have to be through legislation. I can't just go and change whatever they want me to change it to. You know, it's statute driven, and so we'll have to talk about that in the future. But at least this is a start with the city of Peoria to try and contain some of these properties. You've seen probably in the paper there were the 2 schools, and that got sold through the auction process several years ago. And so hopefully this communication will prevent that from happening, and then we can move forward on this.
Okay, thank you, Nicole, for that. And we asked Nicole to walk through that, kind of the process and the concerns that were voiced a year ago from the city, and really wanted to make sure that we understood it and how the trustee works with respect to Peoria County in general. You know, one of the things Nicole did, as she mentioned, is set up a communication channel to the city, and there's other municipalities, so, you know, Chillicothe and all of the other ones could have a similar, but the city of Peoria has the most properties listed and the most that would be of interest to them. So at this point, we're trying to improve that communication so that they have properties that for some reason they want to take other action on, if it's demolition of the property, if it's, you know, to put it in another status. I'll leave it as that because there could be a lot of judgment on what that is. Again, the ultimate goal is we're trying to get these properties back onto a sustainable path of a valuable property where there's taxes and an owner who's responsible for it. So, you know, again, I asked Nicole to put that together. I think we've also asked for the state's attorney's office to review it. I don't know, Jeannie, if you had any comments regarding kind of the initial process of improving communication.
My only comment would be we have to remember that the trustee is acting on behalf of all of the taxing districts, and so anytime we ask them to take a property off of the auction list, you know, that's money that they're not going to receive, even a minimum bid, and then those taxing districts aren't going to receive that money, and it might be a nominal amount, but we're still, the trustee's acting on behalf of these districts to sell the properties, not to hold them on the books, because when they're being held on the books, they're not, taxes aren't even being assessed, or liens for taxes aren't even going out there. So always good to be in communication with our neighbors, but as Nicole said, it's statutory setup, and anything that we do is going to have a domino effect.
So the monthly the monthly delinquent taxes that you see on the agenda, that is the result of the auction. So that's when someone has paid their bid in full, or if they were on a payment plan and they've paid it in full, that is the result of that auction. And when that money is received, then that money gets distributed to the districts, but not until that point.
Eden Blair.
Left.
And at that point, Nicole, I think once that property purchaser completes payment, then the paperwork's done to transfer ownership of the property to that owner, so they can then do their improvements or whatever they purchased the property for.
Right.
Okay. Questions, Mr. Fennel?
How is the trustee appointed?
Good question. How is the trustee appointed to serve their role?
They are the only ones that I know of in the state of Illinois that do this. We have had them for as long as I've been here, which has been over 20 years. The contract was done prior to me. So they've been around for a long time.
State appointment?
Pardon?
A state appointment?
No, it's just a company out of Edwardsville that does this. I think there's some counties that actually act as a trustee, but we don't have that expertise in-house to do that.
So we have the agreement, correct, Nicole, with the trustee that's serving for us. So I would say the agreement is held between Nicole's office and that trustee to perform that service that we've contracted with them to do.
Right.
Is that,
More than 95 of the 102 counties use the same firm.
yeah.
It might even be over, it might be 100, I'm not, but I know I can safely say it's more than 95.
Okay. Mr. Fennel, any other questions? Is that, I mean, we can get into more on that if that's a concern, but again, I don't, I'll let that sit for a second. Other questions from other committee members about the process and kind of where we're at with it? And the recommendation that Nicole has given to improve our communication between the treasurer's office and the city? Jennifer Eden online, do you have any questions regarding this as follow-up?
This is Jennifer. I just want to thank you for going through all that.
Okay, we Hank got both of you at the same time. So Jennifer, would you respond? We'll take one at a time.
Oh, sure. I just wanted to thank Nicole for going through all that.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Eden, comments?
I do not have any comments at this time.
Okay, no, thank you.
Obviously, if someone thinks of something afterwards, they can always get in touch with me, and I can go through it in more detail.
Yeah, I mean, longer term, it'd be ideal to have better, ultimately, quit churning properties through the tax sale process, because that's a struggle. That's really not a good thing for the community. Ultimately, we'd rather have properties be stable with owners who are responsible and improving the property, improving the community of Peoria County. But the process is what it is, and we're just trying to improve our pieces of it so it can be more effective. Phil?
Scott said that approximately 95 of our counties use the same firm. Am I correct? You said possibly even 100 out of 102 counties. Who would we go to do this for us if we didn't use this group?
I think that's just it, Phil. I don't, talking with Nicole, and she can probably elaborate. There really isn't anyone else that almost kind of has a corner on the market or a monopoly on these services.
Cole, do you have any additional comments? I mean, I think that's kind of the brief, but.
I think what the city is eventually looking towards is trying to create a land bank and get these properties out of the trustees' hands and into this land bank. But that's going to require a lot of logistics and things like that to be able to make that happen. But at least we're going to start that communication process and see what it's going to take.
And there are other communities in Illinois who do land bank. Like Decatur, for example, Decatur has a land bank that some of their properties move into, and that land bank serves as a third agent or an agent, a third party. And it gives some potential flexibility if you have joining properties that the city decides we'd like to make this a commercial district and put a TIF district or something that would say these 4 adjoining properties could be converted into a residential neighborhood, a commercial, but then again, I have looked at some of these land banks, and it's a neat concept, but quite frankly, from my research on it, a lot of these properties sit in the land bank for years, not collecting any tax revenue, and then in the case of like Peoria, the city has to actually mow the yards or take care of it. If there's a structure on it that's unsafe, the city has to spend our tax money to take that structure down. So even the land bank option has some drawbacks. So again, it's something that we can look at and work with the city going forward, but today that's, it's out there, but, it doesn't appear to be a ideal option that works smoothly everywhere either. Anyone else have questions? Okay, Nicole, any other reporting from the treasurer's office on business?
No, I don't think so.
Okay,
That's it.
thank you very much for doing that and giving us the extra report. All right. Veterans Assistance Commission, we have Mr. Brooks here with us.
Yay.
Welcome, Mike. Glad to have you here.
Thank you. So we have, I'm going to take this down. We have 301 active VA claims just waiting on decision. Right now we have 165 appeals. So the protocol for appeals have changed recently. Before, or actually my whole entire time, usually we would just file an appeal if we disagreed with a rating or a decision, and it would just 3 to 5 years it would take the VA, and then we never even actually had a say on it. So now the biggest difference is we do a Teams meeting with the VA in Seattle and St. Petersburg, Florida, and we can talk to them via Teams, and we actually tell them our arguments. So me and my staff handle each other's cases, and then I handle the Board of Veterans Appeals. We actually can do it virtually now through Washington, D.C. with a judge. So I'll have one of those in March. So those are still taking about 3 years, but at least we have a say now. So that's one reason I think we've had an increase in compensation for our veterans, because we actually do the case and we go through the records ourselves, so we can actually do the argument now. So right now we have 466 total active claims waiting on decision. The last 2 months we've had, we brought in over $1 million in new money. So we've had back pays of veterans or lump sum, however you want to word it, 165,000, 85,000, 71,000, and 69,000 lump sum payments for veterans. Total money we brought in through February is 6.3 million. Discussing walk-in Wednesday, that is canceled moving forward until we have a more clear of COVID. And then Friday is our last day for our administrative assistant. She's going to move closer to home. So I'll be hiring a new front desk position soon. Any questions for me?
Good. Thank you, Mike. Any questions for Mr. Brooks on the VA? All right. Well, thank you, Mike, for being here, and thank you for serving our veterans, and exactly what the commission was put there for, is to help our local veterans have a say and get reimbursed for the things that we as a governor, as a body of people, owe them. So appreciate your service and work on that one. So with that, we will move into the resolutions. We have 3 resolutions today. The first one's our normal monthly delinquent taxes, and just as Nicole explained the process to us, there's a couple items on there for approval today for the taxes. So I need a motion to put it on the table. Mr. Fennell's first and Phil's second. All right, so it's on the floor. Any questions about the monthly delinquent taxes? Okay, we will do a voice vote here in the room, and then Jennifer and Eden will do individual votes for you. So in the room, all in favor with the sign of aye. In the room, all of against with the sign of nay. Okay, so we've got the room. Jennifer, your vote?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Eden?
Aye.
All right, thank you. So it's unanimous for that. All right, we will move on to the next item. We have a rollover appropriation of fiscal year 2021 budget for the purchase of glass divider panels, and this is for the clerk's office. So it's in the packet, and I'd asked Ms. Parker to just kind of give us a high-level talk through on what the ask is.
Mm-hmm. Our office, after the shutdown, but right before we reopened, our office was evaluated, and it was determined at the time that we needed some glass panel dividers in between the cubicles due to the proximity of the staff, so they would not be so close together. And so we were under the impression at the time that all sides would be kind of closed off, but due to the limited funds at the time, we only could, we got what we could. And so we are just asking for $5,440 of our unspent 2020 budget to be a rollover appropriation into the 2021 budget so that we can complete that job and get those panels installed.
Okay, thank you. Questions from the committee? Everybody follow what the ask is? Have any questions? Jennifer or Eden, do you have any questions on the resolution?
No question.
Okay, thank you.
None for me.
All right. I guess with that, if we have no questions, we will go ahead and do in the room vote with a voice vote. All in favor with the sign of aye. Those opposed with the sign of nay. Okay, and then on the online, we'll start with Jennifer. Your vote.
Aye.
All right, thank you. And Eden?
Aye.
All right, thank you. So that's unanimous for that resolution.
Great. Thank you.
All right, thank you. The third one is rollover appropriation into fiscal year 2021 election commission budget for unused grant funds. So that's our next topic, and I think Mr. Bryden, hopefully still on, he can talk us through what the ask is.
Yeah,
Oh,
this
sorry,
is,
sorry,
we
my-
received a grant last fall in
Hold on, Tom.
October from the Center
Tom?
for Tech and Civic Life
Hey, Tom?
in the amount of
Hey,
109,000.
Tom, hold on,
Yes?
hold on.
I didn't put it on the floor. My bad.
Oh,
I
sorry.
need a motion to put it on the floor. Mr. Fennel and Junior? Okay. All right, now it's on the floor. Tom, it's yours again.
Okay, so last fall in October, we received a grant from the Center for Tech and Civic Life for $109,544 to help to fund safe and secure elections. In the process of identifying the expenditures that would be covered by this grant, we realized in late November, early December that we probably weren't going to have. Probably hadn't expended all of it. We received notification from the organization that they were going to allow requests for extensions. We requested an extension for the unspent money of $19,430, and we received approval for that extension. We've got till the end of June to spend the $19,430. And then the end of July to report it. So this is a rollover of an unused portion of grant that we can use this spring to help offset expenditures related to the spring elections, the same way we used it in November for the November election.
Okay. Thank you, Tom, for that update. And so I guess any questions from the committee on what the ask is here? Okay. Those online, Eden or Jennifer, any questions from your side?
I do not, thank you.
I do not either.
Okay, thanks. All right, one last round. Otherwise, I will ask for an in-the-room voice vote. All in favor of approval with the sign of aye? Aye. Those opposed with the sign of nay? Okay, so it's passed in the room. Jennifer, your vote, please.
Aye.
All right, thank you. And Eden?
Aye.
All right, thank you. So that passed unanimously. So that ends the resolutions. Now we're into the miscellaneous section of the committee agenda. Anybody have input for miscellaneous? All right, one more chance. Anyone for miscellaneous? Hearing nothing, we will be adjourned. Thank you very much.
Eden Blair.
Left.
Tom Bride, Peoria County Election